Good morning, students, and welcome to the another session of Structure Analysis 2, where I can see that people are joining fast. So we'll wait for a minute so that everyone can join the session and so that they don't miss the contents. Because initial discussions are always important, and when you start the session or attending the session, the initial instructions are highly important, where we generally review the previous session, the contents that we have covered in the last session, and the plan of today's session, so that you get well tuned with the session. So, in a similar way, parallelly, as usual, I would like to request all of you that kindly enter your details in the chat box for the attendance. And today you will need your writing tools with you, right? Because I will be asking couple of questions which you need to answer when you are calculating the numericals. So we are slowly moving moving towards beginning of the numerical exercises. As we started a new topic in the last session, that was energy principles on structural analysis, and we have gone through the theory contents already. So naturally, we'll not be repeating it. However, I will take some opportunity to explain you, relate you with the last session so that you can note down the important equations, formula, which are useful for further application of energy principles in the structural analysis. We all know that Castigliano proposed two principles of energy application, strain energy application for the energy which is stored within the structure when you apply a force on a body, let us say on a beam. So beam deforms, and during the deformation, according to the material property, the action or external work will be secured within the structure in form of strain energy or resilience, right? And when the load is applied and the process is completed, there is always some release of the energy also becomes possible. However, if the body is completely elastic, ideally elastic, and if you remove the structural force, it will try to regain the original position, which is not a right story for concrete or even any of the structural materials like the high strength steel or even the timber. Because once they are deformed, it's nearly difficult to come back for them to original position because of the material limitations, right? However, we will be assuming that our structural materials of the beams behaves as a elastic material and obeys the Hooke's laws, right? So let's continue our next session on application of energy principles for structural analysis. I hope everybody has brought their writing tools with them. You can, however, keep noting the important points, including the formula, which are going to help us for the analysis ahead. So we have understood that how the body retains the energy within it, and what are the formula useful for us. So Castigliano proposed these two principles. In first principle, it says that if you take a partial derivative of the complete energy stored in the structure with respect to the corresponding forces. Now there are two types of forces with which we are going to deal with. One is the point load or the load itself, and second is the moment, right? Because there are two consecutive quantities developed when you apply a force, the deflection takes place as well as the moment takes place. That means the rotation. So deflection and rotation. So wherever you want to find the deflection, you have to have the presence of the force. Now, if the force is not existing in the given structural system, you need to apply the fictitious force. And that is why the principle the first principle is also known as the virtual principle of the force, right, or fictitious force method. So what we do in this exactly and how we use it for the formulation and calculation of the quantities of the structural analysis, that we are going to demonstrate today with the help of application of these equations in the problem. So please understand and please write down this box equations. I have boxed them. You can write them in your notes for a secured reference. The deflection is expressed as the integration of the given length of the member. It may be a complete length or it may be a segment of the total length. So along with a given length, if you take a moment equation, generalized moment equation, and if you take then the partial derivative of that particular equation with respect to the corresponding force which is causing the moment, it will give you deflection at that point. Similarly, if you take further partial derivative of the generalized moment equation with respect to the moment forces, it will provide you rotation. So these two equations are important for us, and let us see now how to solve problems based on energy principle number 1. And for that, let me take a very simple and primary type of the problem. And please don't write anything right now, don't do anything in your notes right now, just understand the procedure, right? So if I take a beam like this, very simple example we will start with, right? As you know, this is force P and this is your length L. Why I am taking this very primary type of problem? Because you already have solved calculation of deflections and slope for this condition with variety of the methods, including Macaulay's, double integration, moment area, this, that, whatnot, right? Including conjugate beams, right? So how the calculation is further possible by applying the energy principle and how flexible it is, that I want to demonstrate. So right now we have this condition and we are going to apply the energy principle for calculation of slope and deflection at free end. Right. So our target is to calculate delta B, right? Means what would be the value for that, as well as theta B. What will be the value of rotation at theta B? Okay. And we assume that EI, that is the material property, is constant, right? So our answer will be in form of EI, right? So the first step that we need to apply is to identify the segments of the beam. So the length of the beam. Right now, right here, you can see that there is only one segment which is existing in the beam, that is in form of complete length. So always remember, when you are dealing with the cantilevers, irrespective to the pure cantilever or propped cantilever, always you should start your analysis based on the principle energy principle methods from the free end. Okay, so uh, the first step is to rewrite the problem, right? So we will rewrite it, and what we need is to identify the location of force at the desired point where we require these quantities. Now you can see here that at a point B we require deflection. So as a rule, I'm writing a reference rule over here. Load should be available at the location at the location where deflection is required. Okay, that is the first rule. wherever you want, at any point. Let us say randomly, if I have any other C point over here, then I must have point load over there, associated point load over there. Now if it is not there, then what to do, that I will explain meanwhile. But right now you just understand this, that the point where which you are interested to calculate the deflection, at that point we require at least a point load over there. Okay, so it may be given in the problem, it may not be given in the problem. So what to do in that case? Suppose right now we have been given the point load at point B, so we don't need to bother about it. We will take P is equal to P itself. But in case I have a force somewhere else, just for example, here I have a force of 30 Newton and I want slope and deflection, deflection at point B, but I don't have any associated force at point B. So what should I do? I need to apply a point load which is having a value of 0. This is called fictitious force, right? And that is why this method is known as fictitious load method or virtual load method. Now, why this we are doing is to generate the generalized equation, because according to the energy principle, it says that if you want the force, if you want the deflection at point B, at deflection of point B, you can achieve only if you have associated point load over there. So without generating the equation, without of the point load, you cannot get the partial derivative of total strain energy stored in the system because of the external forces, right? And that is how we are going to use this concept of virtual force in future also. But right now we just need to take it further without any hesitation, because we have already been given a point load associated with point B. So I will be moving slowly, so that we can completely understand each and every aspect of numerical solutions. All right. So this is the first rule, and there is another rule which is associated, that moment. Now further one more quantity we require. Deflection we have seen, but rotation also needed. So moment should be available at the location where rotation or slope, ideally rotation, is required. So I think you must have understood now that if I need deflection B, I must have force at point B, and if I need theta B, I must have moment applied at point B. And if it is not given in the system externally, you can take it as fictitious moment also. So if both are not present, you can take both of them as fictitious forces, and then you generate your generalized equation including these values, and later on you can declare that final value of these quantities are 0, so they will come out of your overall equation and final answer will be achieved. We are going to experiment with this, so need not to worry about. But first of all, let's solve our simple numerical in this case, right? We will come back to this point later on. Okay, so right now I'm applying force P here. I have length L with me, which is the length of the beam. Okay, now I do have name of this beam A to B, right? So for this, segment of the length or segment of the beam becomes B to A. As you remember, I have mentioned that always you should start with the free end for the analysis purpose. So now let's run our X from free end, right? X begins from the free end, right? And at any instantaneous location, we are going to generate the moment equation. Okay. So how do we do it then? Let us write down our system approach for this solution. First, we will write name of the segment. There will be a table which is required. So segment will be written over here. Right. So segment name is B to A. Okay. Then origin. So you need to locate where will be the origin of this segment. So origin, that means the point of starting for this segment. So I'm writing B is the origin. Point B is the origin. Okay. Then you must mention the length, the value of the length or the range of the length. That is the right word, I would say. You have to literally show that what is the range of this length. So always we will begin from x equals to 0 and we will reach to the consecutive length when it completes to the end of the segment. When we reach to the end of the segment, our segment starts from point B and reaches at point A. So when you travel with the x distance from 0 to A, my complete length becomes 0 to L. So I will write down 0 to L here, because that is the range of our length. Ultimately, you have to keep in front of your eyes that we require to use this equation delta B equals to 1 upon EI, right? Integration 0 to L. Then we have mx into del mx upon del p into dx. This is the hero of our field, right? So this we are going to utilize. So out of this first requirement, we have satisfied what is the length of the segment. We have identified the segment as well. Parallelly, now you don't need to work at this moment, you just focus. Okay. So length we have written. Now we are slowly going to write our generalized equation for mx quantity. So now if I start taking moment about any section from the right hand side of the section side, you have to take always the moment on the right hand side of the section, because we started from 0 and we want to reach to the point A. So this is the force P and this is the distance x. So you very well know that it will be generating moment in clockwise direction as like this. Okay, and this quantity will be mentioned as the first moment equation. So we will write down our generalized moment equation as P into x, and it will be clockwise. So I will put minus sign over here. Now the next step is to take partial derivative of this quantity with respect to the force which is causing this moment. So this moment mx is caused by this force P. So we will write down del mx upon del P, and that equation is available with us. So we will take partial derivative of minus px with respect to p. So p will be eliminated and the final answer will be minus x, right? So here our entire work completes for as such for the calculation of this quantity. Now, since we have EI constant, so we'll keep it aside, we'll keep it outside. So delta B, now I'm going to use this equation, simple. So 1 upon EI, right? I hope it is clearly visible to you. Length range is 0 to L, so it remains 0 to L. And then I have mx, that is minus px, into del mx upon del p, that is minus x further, and then I have dx. So simplifying this step, and we can simplify all the details over here in a way that 1 upon ei 0 to L px square into dx. So without any delay, we can obtain the final quantity by integrating this, phrase like px cube upon 3. The range goes to 0 to L. When you put 0, nothing comes into your hand. So that's why we'll use L directly. So PL cube upon 3EI, that is your final expression. And you will recall that this is the exact match, exact result on which you have obtained, of which you have obtained with the other methods like moment area method and like double integration method and so on and so forth. So here our first task is completed. Deflection at point B due to the force P applied at the free end, we have obtained our final answer. Now, there is another segment, there is another quantity which is required, that is the rotation at point B. Now for that, we will generate our new condition where we will be following rule number 2. This is rule number 1 we have followed. Fortunately, we had a force at the same location, so we did not need to worry about any of the fictitious forces to be applied. But in second case, if you want slope at point B, you must have associated moment. You can see here. Now that moment should be externally available. Now in our problem, externally available moment is not there. So we need to apply a fictitious moment, and how it look like. Let's see. I'm using this side for the explanation, and for that let me apply the force like this. This is a beam over here, right? And I will be applying moment along with given force. We should not ignore the force, right? So here we have applied moment M. All right. And we know from the beginning itself, it doesn't exist, right? But somehow we need to include moment in our equation so that later stage we can take the partial derivative. That is the only target, or that is the only intention of including this fictitious moment in the equation forcefully. And our movement will get continued, like here we have x, again we have to travel from x, and now we are going to generate our equation of moment, right? So let's go with the flow. We will now write down directly segment BA, origin at B, length is 0 to L. Now mx, in this case mx is, this is the moment, right? So it is clockwise, so I will write down negative m simply, and I have p into x, so I will be writing negative px. All right, now be careful that we have to take del mx by del m. So this is the crux of this numerical. So px doesn't have any m format, so it will be right away, it will be 0. It will not be considered for the partial derivative, as you know the rule of the derivation, partial derivation. And when the quantity is available in terms of m, we will take partial derivative. There is no suffixes, prefixes for this, so it will be -1 only, right? So like this you can obtain your final expression and you can complete your work. This is a table which we have completed. So now let us write down, let's put down the value theta b equals to 1 upon ei 0 to L, then mx into delta mx, sorry, dmx upon dm, and the bracket completes and it is dx. So just a game of application of the values over here, which is pending 0 to L. Mx is what? let us say m plus px, and we have negative 1 as del m x upon del m. So that we will simply write here. So that gives me the expression as, let me write here, 1 upon ei, right? 1 upon ei, 0 to L, then we have minus 1 and minus, so it is simply m plus px dx. So now let me take a final stage, a final step, and mx integrated mx plus px square by 2, the limits lengths 0 to L. So when I now simplify this, I know that since m equals to 0, so that step we will include here, and we will mention over here somewhere that next step. I may be going out of this grid, so just allow me to do it. Here m is equal to 0. Therefore, theta b will be nothing but PL square upon 2EI. That's it. Because m becomes 0, so this term itself will become 0, and you can obtain the rotation value as a final answer over here. So this was the final answer for deflection. This was the final answer for slope. So I hope you have got the point, you have understood the procedure, right? Now let's take another numerical, which is little bit of on a higher side with numerical values, of course, so you will enjoy the values, and also will be following the same concepts, right? So the same principle, same application, nothing changes. The only thing is you have to be very careful while you are writing the expression for moment, general moment equation, and with which respect you will be taking the partial derivative. That also becomes very important. And if you find that there is no force which exists at that location where you are intended to calculate the deflection, you are required to apply fictitious force. So the same we did over here. Let's review this problem once again quickly, that we wanted to have rotation, and for a rotation according to rule number 2, we require moment should be existing at that particular point where we require rotation. However, in the given problem, this was our given problem, where you find that there is no moment externally applied. So what to do? We will apply a fictitious moment over here with 0 value, but we will keep it in the loop and we will develop our equation accordingly. And then finally we reach to our final destination when it is the time you can declare that surprisingly m is 0, right? So you can replace it with 0, and then accordingly you can obtain your rest of the values. So I think that this is quite good enough with the proper flow of the learning. And let me give you one more numerical. Now you wish, if you wish, you can write down this problem in your notes which you have right now. Let me take a challenge of drawing lines with the digital pen. Consider this as a horizontal line, vertical line, straight line, right? And there is another line over here. So it is a bent cantilever. We have a point B, and here we have point C. So let me take you further in this detail. Let me give you the value which I have worked out for you. All right. So here you have load, which is point load, that is having value of 60 kilonewton. Okay. Now let me write down the dimensions also. This is 3 meters. You can also write down all this data in your notes, and this length, this height is 6 meters. Okay. So we have a bent cantilever having 6 plus 3 meter height, right? And let us see how to deal with it. What is the question? The question is find the deflection at point C in two different directions, vertical and horizontal. Because it is a bent cantilever, there are good chances that this frame will be getting displaced not only in the downward direction, but also it will be having some deflection in horizontal direction also, right? Like this also. So there is a combined behavior. This point C will be displacing in horizontal direction as well as in vertical direction. So I need both the deflection values based on the given condition. So let's write down the values of the other properties, like modulus of elasticity is given as usual 2 into 10 raised to 5 Newton per mm square, right? So necessarily it will be steel wire that we can assume, and I of the given section of this member is 3, sorry, yes, 3 into 10 raised to 8, right? Mm raised to 4. It may be a wire, it may be a tube, it may be anything, but we are not concerned right now with it, what the shape it may be. But to make this problem more complex, I may not give you direct value of I, but I may give you the shape of the cross section like this with some dimension 2 by 2 mm, and for that you need to obtain the I. That is how I can increase the level of the complexity of the problem if I want to give you more challenges to you. But right now we are not in that stage. Still we are starting and entering into the world of calculation of this kind of problem. So we'll take direct values. Now what I need, delta C in vertical direction and delta C in horizontal direction. All right, so let's begin. We know that what we need to do, we need to identify the segments first. Let us observe this question first of all. So let me remove unnecessary things out of it. If I try it, okay. Right now, I want these two quantities. Both are related to point C. Now, as a rule number one, when you are dealing with deflections, you must have associated force in that particular direction at that particular location. So for a calculation of delta C in vertical direction, I don't have any problem. Right now, I have a force already existing at a same point in a same direction. So I will name it simply as point P, right? And later on, I will declare that the value of P is 60. That's it. However, I don't have any force associated with point C in horizontal direction. So in that case, I will be keeping another force that is called P, which is 0 in that case, when I will be dealing with the second deflection. See, everything has to be dealt with separately, separate calculations for both cases, both quantities rather. However, we are not going to find any deflection, I mean the rotation, so there is no need to apply any fictitious moment as such at this moment. However, you can definitely find it. But right now it is not asked in the question, so we'll not be bothered about it, right? So let's begin case number one, or part number one, part A, calculation for delta CV. Okay. So for that, I will redraw the problem over here for a better explanation. Right. This is your frame again, or bent cantilever again. This is, let us call this force P, and we will start with X distance. So X from C to A, C to B first, and then we will move from B to A as a second step. So now I have two segments. Earlier we had only one segment. Now I have two segments in one beam. So I will be writing separate equations for both segments due to the given force. So let me write down here the segment names. First of all, I will write over here. Let me try to plan how I will execute both the calculations, half half. Okay, that is good enough. So I will be writing here first segment C to B. Okay, now the origin will be C, of course. Its length will be 0 to 3 meters. Here you can see 0 to 3 is given to us, so we'll write down 0 to 3 meters. Then I will write down mx generalized equation just for this segment B, C to B. So naturally it will be px, so negative px. All right, now I will take partial derivative of mx with respect to p, so it will give me minus x. Till here it's okay. And then let me take another segment, segment BA. So here the origin becomes B. This is the point, and we are going down now. So x will be considered down from here to here in vertical direction, right? At that time, now this x doesn't come into picture. It is done. Its story is ended, right? So you just don't need to remember what happened to this x while you are dealing with the second segment. So it's a new point, new origin, new equation for this. So it becomes x here. Now you can see that for segment BA, there is no active force existing in this component or in this segment. However, we can write down always the length of the segment 0 to 6. Now one more care you have to take when you are writing the length values, because these are nothing but the limits of integration. So when you are dealing with the individual segments, it always begins with 0 and reaches to the final length. So here you have 0 to 3 meters for this segment number BC or CB. For second segment, you have B to A. Its complete length travels from 0 to 6 meter, not from here, from point C. Because see, we are working in a segments. So segment 1 is CB, so its story is ended over here. Now you just not need to remember what happened with that. Later on we will be summing them up together. All right. So right now B to A is our target. So 0 to 6 meter. That's why I have written the length over here as 0 to 6 meters. But I don't have any active force in segment B to A. However, already we have a force which is existing over here in our system. Even it is a fictitious force, then also you need to consider it for second segment. So you cannot ignore the force which exists in the system, even if you are dealing with the another segment. So you all know very well that what will be the moment which is generated at point B due to this force existing at point C. So now we have x which is working here. So the total length, total distance will be considered for multiplication of this moment. So my first equation here, it will be, right, it will be moment at, for segment BA, the moment which is generated because the existing load P will be force into distance. That distance is 3 meter. So I will be writing 3P. Okay. And apart from that, there is no force which exists in the segment BA. So simply I will take the partial derivative of this force itself. So it will be minus 3 only, right? I hope we all have got the point over here. What I did, I applied this point force P at, I take the moment of this force about point B, because along the member of BA there is no force. If this would have been a situation, if this would have been a situation like this, let's say, just for your explanation, if I have force here, but if I have another force of 20 kilonewton, then definitely I would have changed my style of working, like A, B, C and D, and then I would have taken segments like D to C, C to B and B to A. And then when I reach at segment B to A, this force will come into picture. All right. So I hope you understand the sequence is very important and the X traveling is also important. So from D to C only this force will be considered. From C to B again this force will be considered in form of moment. But, but when you go below B to A as X, not only this moment but also this force will come into picture in your equation over here. So please be careful that in dealing with these kind of problems, you have to be very careful about the inclusion of the forces. Okay. So now we are ready to use the equation delta CV equals to, I will take EI right now as constant for a while because there is no variation in I, moment of inertia. So first segment, sorry, I forgot to mention the integration, which is very very important. So integration 0 to L. Now we are ready. Mx del mx upon del p dx. This is for first segment. You can write down the length directly over here also, not an issue. It will give you better clarity as well. So 0 to L, that is 0 to 3 meter for first segment, plus 1 upon EI, right? Sorry, integration 0 to 6, because this length is 0 to 6, mx del mx upon del p dx. So these two segments are written now very well, and now we are going to simplify this as we did in the earlier case, 1 upon EI. Let's put all the values together, 0 to 3 meters. Mx minus Px, then we have minus x dx plus 1 upon EI, 0 to 6 meters, minus 3p into minus 3 dx. I hope it is going good for you. And now again, let me simplify once again delta CV, that means deflection at point C in vertical direction, E upon 1 upon EI. Still, we are not going to integrate it unless we get the final stage. So simplified equation will be Px square dx here plus 1 upon EI, right? Integration 0 to L and 9p dx. So now we are nearly ready to take our next step, which is integration, nothing but the integration. So delta CV equals to 1 upon EI. Let's take integration now. Px cube upon 3, limit 0 to 3, plus 1 upon EI, here 9px, limit is 0 to 6. All right, so we are now about to use the actual values. Now we know that P is actually 60. So here we will use, here P is having a value of 60 kilonewton. So that now we have to place into the equation, and still we are going, as a constant as EI. So 60 into, replace x with the limit of the length, that is 3. So cube of that divided by 3 plus EI, 9 into 60, because P becomes 60 and this becomes 6x, right? So when you total them and when you get the final answer, you will be ending up, since I have already calculated, I am not going through in the details, the final value will be like this: 540 upon EI plus 3240 EI. So the final answer for this is 3780 upon EI. Now, as you know from the earlier calculations and our previous examples and experience, you know that this value is always in kilonewton into meter cube, right? Always you should remember, and slope will be kilonewton into meter square, which should not be forgotten by you, right? So delta CV, now we are ready to use EI value also. So 3780 into kilonewton will get converted to Newton, meter will get converted to mm, because this quantities, the denominator, the flexural rigidity value is Newton into mm square format. So into 10 raised to 12 divided by, here we can simplify this EI also, 3 into 2 6 and 10 to the power 5 and 10 to the power 8, so gives you 13. So directly we will be writing 6 into 10 raised to the power 13, and that will give me 3780 divided by 6 will give me 63 mm. So nearly 6 centimeters of the vertical deflection is expected. All right. So now within no time, we have still some minutes. So let me take this opportunity to go with the horizontal displacement as well. Wait for a while, it won't take much time. So now I want delta CH, and I don't have any applied externally horizontal force in that direction. So I will take fictitious load, where here now I cannot say that this is P, this is 60 only, 60 kilonewton itself, right? And I have length over here 3 meters, 6 meters. I have segments like A, B, and C. So let us write down the segments first. CB, right, where C is the origin, 0 to 3 meter is the length. What is the equation of moment? 60, and we have distance over here, x, right? So minus, this is your mx equation, so minus 60 into x, right? So that is what is the equation for this segment, and del mx upon del p is 0, because in this direction we don't have any force p in the equation, so this term this term becomes 0 here. Okay, be careful when you take partial derivative of the quantities. If you don't have the quantity with respect to the to which you are taking partial derivative, the answer will be always 0. That you have to recall from the basics of partial derivative rules. Now B to A, origin is B, length is 0.6, the mx value, here I have to consider first this force, that is 60 kilonewton, and that is at a 3 meter distance. So 60 into 3 gives me 180, right? That is the first equation. And now I have force P, you can see that. So force P is actually acting here, over here, and at a distance x from point B. So it will be creating moment like this, right, in the segment BA. So again it will be negative because it is clockwise, so minus px now attached. And so that now when I take del mx upon del p, it will give me minus x. Okay, so now I am ready to use my equations in the grand equation of delta CH equals to 1 upon EI. Now I'm going little faster because you are aware about all this, and negative 60x into 0 dx plus 1 upon EI, limit of 0 to 6, minus 180 minus px into minus x dx. So rearranging the term, this term, first term will get cancelled because we have a hero called 0. So uh, delta ch equals to, only this segment will be considered. So 1 upon ei, right? So now we have to go along with this equation. So that is, let's simplify this. 0 to c, if I multiply minus x over here, so it becomes 180x plus px square dx. Okay, that is my simplified view now of the equation. Now again, delta ch equals to 1 upon ei, but now we know that the value of P is 0. It is fictitious load. So directly I will be writing 0 to 6 here into 180x dx. Alright, so now we are ready to take integration. Delta ch equals to 1 upon ei 180 x square by 2. Limit is 0 to 6. So I will be getting quickly my answers. 1 upon ei 180 into 6 square, right, upon 2. So if you get the final answer in terms of figure, and that is 3240. So it is 3240 upon 6 into 10 raised to 13, and this becomes 10 raised to 12. So the final answer becomes 54 mm delta ch. Alright, so we have obtained both the values. Delta ch is already 54 mm, and delta cv was calculated as 63 mm. Okay. Now, if I want to relook on the same equation, same question, what was the learning component out of it? The learning component out of it is, if you have to calculate corresponding deflections, you require corresponding forces. Here we took the help of the fictitious force in horizontal direction because we did not had any of the horizontal force applied at point C in the original equation. Otherwise, if this would have been the, sorry, if let me take you further discussion. If this would have been the case in the original problem, let us say this is 60 kilonewton given like this, then I would have taken fictitious force for first case where P equals to 0. And in second case, I would have taken P equals to 60 directly. Then my equation would have been different, right, for these two segments. But I hope that now, since I have gone very slowly and very step by step, primitive steps I have discussed, primary steps are discussed. So I'm sure that most of us are clear about this process. You can further extend this question by calculating, theta c, right, in vertical direction, rotation, right? You can find rotation also at theta c. Try it by yourself by using the same concept, same data, same loading, and the only change will be, since you don't have moment at this point c, you have to apply fictitious moment. Try it. I advise all of you, just try it today itself, so that since it is fresh, you will be able to crack it, right? So develop your equation over here, and you will be in a position to find the rotation at point C. All right. Since it is rotation, there is no question of direction. It is rotation. That means that's it. That's the rotation. Okay. So applied moment is fictitious, and you develop your new equation for all segments C to B, B to A, and it will give you solution likewise, the way in which you are going to use it for this. You have already used it. So I'm taking a pause for today. I'm stopping this discussion today. Let's have a relook what we did today. We started the application of energy principles rule number one, and energy principle number one, and we applied both the concepts of first, when the force is available at the point where we are intended to calculate quantities like slope and deflection. If the force or the moment, corresponding moment, if it is not available at the corresponding point, what to do? At that time, we took the fictitious force either in a form of force or in form of moment. So in first equation, first calculation, or the first numerical practice, we did the same job. We took the help of the fictitious moment and we carried out the deflection at point B as well as rotation at point B. In second numerical, we took the help of the fictitious moment again, and then we tried to the fictitious force again, and we tried to calculate the deflection of corresponding point in both direction, horizontal and vertical. Since we didn't have horizontal force corresponding to the point, we applied the fictitious force over there, and because of that we know that what we did later on, right? So now we are almost ready to jump into the little more complex problems. These methods are applicable to the simply supported beams also. Eventually we are going to calculate out many interesting things in our way ahead. So till then, try practicing, try keep learning, stay safe, be in your premises, do not overrule the COVID guidelines yet, right? So I hope you enjoyed this session. We'll meet again and we'll take some more complex problems on energy principle number one applied on the structural analysis problems. So till then, keep learning, stay safe. Thanks for joining this session.